Greetings, my dear friends. This is Dreamweaver Mystics, as always. Last time we talked about the pink moon, about how this giant celestial body affects our sleep, our dreams, our emotions, and maybe even our souls. And after that video, I got a lot of letters, but one comment really stood out. A subscriber named Jessica wrote this: Dreamweaver Mystics, I loved the video about the moon, but it got me thinking. If the moon affects us so much, what about the stars? What about the planets? What about the exact moment we were born? I've read my horoscope for years. Sometimes it feels accurate. Sometimes it feels completely wrong. So tell me, do the stars really influence who we are? Great question, Jessica. And you're not alone. Millions of people ask themselves the same thing every day. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about astrology, about zodiac signs, about whether the position of the stars at the moment of your birth really shapes your personality, your fate, your strengths and weaknesses. I believe they do. I believe the stars influence us. I believe the planets speak to us. I believe that the moment you were born, the universe left its mark on you. Not because of random chance, because of ancient patterns that wise men have observed for thousands of years. Think about it. The Babylonians mapped the skies. They noticed that certain celestial events coincided with certain earthly events: wars, famines, the rise and fall of kings. They didn't have telescopes. They didn't have satellites. They had only their eyes and their patience. And over centuries they saw patterns, real patterns. The ancient Egyptians built their pyramids aligned with the stars. The Mayans created calendars more accurate than anything Europe had for 1,000 years. The Chinese emperors consulted astrologers before making any major decision. Are we supposed to believe that all these civilizations, all these wise men were simply delusional? I don't think so. I think they saw something that we, in our modern arrogance, have forgotten.
Now, here's what I've learned from my own life. When I meet someone and I learn their zodiac sign, something clicks. Not because I'm judging them, because I have a framework, a way to understand where they might be coming from. And more often than not, it works. Not every time, because people are complex and there's more to a person than just their sun sign, but often enough that I can't dismiss it as coincidence. Think about the people in your own life, the stubborn ones, the dreamers, the leaders, the peacemakers. Don't you see patterns? Don't you see that some people are just born with certain temperaments, certain tendencies, certain gifts? And isn't it possible that those tendencies are connected to the season, the month, the moment they came into this world? The sun moves through the zodiac over the course of the year. Each sign has its own energy, and when you are born under that sign, you absorb some of that energy. It's not about fate, it's not about destiny, it's about influence. The same way the moon influences the tides, the stars influence your soul. But here's where we need to go deeper, because astrology is not just about sun signs. That's only the beginning. George Gurdjieff, the great mystic and spiritual teacher, understood this better than almost anyone. Gurdjieff didn't just believe in astrology, he used it, he taught it. He said that astrology is a map of the human soul. Gurdjieff taught that most people are not really awake, They are machines, biological robots running on autopilot. They eat, work, sleep, talk, and react without any real awareness. They are driven by habits, by conditioning, by external influences. And astrology, for Gurdjieff, was a way to understand those mechanical tendencies. He gave a simple example. Imagine a person who constantly insists on having their own way. They argue, they push, they never yield. Now suppose that person was born under a sign associated with assertiveness and leadership. Gurdjieff would say, fine, that's your pattern, that's your programming. Now what are you going to do about it? Because for Gurdjieff, knowing your astrological tendencies wasn't an excuse, it wasn't a justification, it was a starting point for work. If you are naturally assertive, your task is to consciously learn when to step back, to catch yourself in the act, to create an inner struggle, to refuse to be a slave to your own planetary programming. And if you are naturally gentle and dreamy, but you find yourself being aggressive, that's different. Your aggression comes from a different place. It's not your natural tendency. It's a compensation, an overcorrection, and you need to understand that too. Gurdjieff's point was this: astrology shows you your weaknesses, it shows you your mechanical patterns, but it cannot change them. Only conscious effort can do that, only self-observation, only the willingness to struggle against your own nature.
He also said something fascinating about the relationship between astrology and human types. He taught that there are many distinct types of human beings, based not just on the sun sign, but on the positions of the moon, the planets, and the stars at the moment of birth. Each type has its own strengths, its own weaknesses, its own path of development. And here's the really interesting part. Gurdjieff believed that most people never escape their type. They live their entire lives as prisoners of their own astrology. They are born, they live according to their planetary programming, and they die, never having made a single conscious choice. But a small number of people, the ones who do the work, can escape. They can transcend their type. They can become free. Not free from the influence of the stars, because Gurdjieff believed that influence is real, but free from being controlled by it. They learn to use their astrological tendencies rather than being used by them. There's a famous story about Gurdjieff and astrology. One of his students asked him whether it was worth studying astrology, and Gurdjieff said something like this: "Study it, but don't become a slave to it. Use it, but don't depend on it. Astrology can show you the prison you live in, but it cannot open the door. Only you can open the door." That's the key insight. Astrology describes the problem, it does not solve it. But without the description, you cannot even begin to solve anything. Now, let me share something personal. I've looked at my own astrological chart, I've read the descriptions of my sign, and I'll be honest, some of it felt like it was written specifically for me. Not because it was vague, but because it was precise. It described parts of me that I had never told anyone about, parts of me that I didn't even understand myself. That's the power of astrology. It gives you language for your own soul. It helps you see yourself more clearly. And once you see yourself clearly, you can begin to grow. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. What about free will? If the stars influence us, are we just puppets? No, absolutely not. The stars influence you, they do not control you. Think of it like weather. The weather influences your day. If it's raining, you might stay inside. If it's sunny, you might go for a walk. But you still choose. You still decide. The weather doesn't make you do anything. It just creates conditions. Astrology is the same. The stars create conditions. They create tendencies. They create energies. But you are the one who decides what to do with those energies. A person born under a fiery sign might have a quick temper. That's their tendency. But they can learn to pause, to breathe, to choose a different response. That's free will. That's consciousness. That's the whole point of being human.
Gurdjieff would say that most people don't use their free will. They just react. They are machines. But the potential is there. Everyone has the potential to wake up. And astrology can help with that. Because once you see your patterns, you can begin to break them. So here's my advice. Study your horoscope. Learn your sign. Learn your moon sign, your rising sign, the positions of the planets at your birth. Not because you want to predict the future, but because you want to understand yourself. The stars have been watching you since the day you were born. Maybe it's time you started watching them back. And don't let anyone tell you that astrology is nonsense. Don't let the skeptics shame you. The same skeptics laughed at the idea that the Earth moves around the sun. The same skeptics said that electricity was a parlor trick. The same skeptics have been wrong about everything that matters. Trust the ancient wisdom. Trust the patterns that have been observed for thousands of years. Trust the stars. But also trust yourself, because you are not just a product of the stars. You are also a creator. You have consciousness. You have choice. You have the ability to take what the stars give you and turn it into something beautiful. These are my thoughts. I believe the stars speak to us. I believe the moment of your birth matters. I believe that you were born at exactly the right moment, under exactly the right sky, for exactly the right reasons. Do you read your horoscope? Do you feel your sign fits you? Write to me. I read every letter. This is Dreamweaver Mystics. Until next time, and don't forget to look up at the stars.